Hey y'all, welcome to the very first episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. So I started this podcast because I was doing my Dark Academia podcast, and most of y'all know I love the paranormal. I believe in ghosts, I believe in hauntings and all that. Hell, I bought a house that someone died in just because that's real estate gold right there. Me and the ghosts can make some living arrangement. But here's the thing: the older the house, the higher the chances that you will receive that there is someone has died there and everything. And you can actually go on my Dark Academia podcast, and I actually talked about this and everything, and it is about like where did superstitions and ghosts come from, because I had talked about like earlier urban legends and mysteries on that one that I still plan to do there that pertain to Dark Academia as well, because ghosts is an element of that of Dark Academia. But today, for our first episode, I want to talk about one of the most known, famous urban legends and myths. Have you seen episode? If you've seen episode Ghost Whisperer, then you know what I'm talking about. There was this. My mom loved the show, so I actually remember this episode very particular because I watched almost every episode with her. If not all, honestly, if I'm being honest. But basically, this the episode was similar to the urban legend, was kind of made emphasis on the Bloody Mary urban legend and myth. Um and we basically know what this is. You go into a room, okay, and you turn out all the lights and you look in the mirror 3 times and a girl will appear. Now, there have been many versions of this tale, and the story goes as an unwed woman will see the face that she marry a man in the glass, yet if she were destined to die alone, then she will see a skull. Then you will see a skull. It eventually evolved to something more sinister, when participants um see see the bloody face and the evil spirits. Now, we all know, we remember that annoying little story of Bloody Mary and everything, don't we? I would hope so. Most of us haven't lived under a rock our whole lives. So. But anyway, oh, and know the lighting. I am in my living room, so I'm enjoying. I have my apartment all to myself, so I'm trying to enjoy the moment right now. I have one roommate that's out of town, the other one that's out of town as well. So I'm dog sitting, but I don't mind it because I love this sweet little angel. But anyway, but when you, but we know how it goes. But after you say a name, and one legend is goes after you say sinister legend, go sinister version of this. It goes after you say a name 3 times, and hope you won't be found dead with the eye scratched out or claw marks all over you, or a possibility that you will be trapped in a glass forever in the mirror for all eternity. Now, there are hundreds of backstories of Bloody Mary that came to me. The most reasonable one is the tale of death. In the 1800s, there a young girl whose name was Mary was an illness vanished over the place where she lived, washed over the place in which she lived, and this was making people drop dead after a short period of time. And when the physicians couldn't find the pulse, and when they put the mirror under the nose of someone seemingly dead, there might not always be condensation on it or from their breaths. So the fallen would easily be assumed to be dead. But were they? Well, there were many cases of people who were pronounced dead but weren't. And people often was when one would die, put the hole in the coffin and a piece of string through the hole that was attached to the bell. And the bell would hang on a stick by the homes of the deceased, and then if they woke up, they would simply pull the string, ring the bell, and would be dug up. Kind of scary to think about if you stop and truly like think about that. Like Oh, I'm claustrophobic, and me that's just one of the things that I can't even think about right there. But of course, when Mary was to be bedridden and slowly died, she was lying in her coffin in her grave. She wasn't to be buried until they just yet, and it would be easy to unnail the coffin that she was put away in. And the string and bell was, of course, on hand, and days passed up to weeks, and her parents never left the house, wishing that their very sweet little girl would awaken. Um, and friends of the parents would claim that if she had not awoken yet, then she never would. That day, the parents left the house, and with their friends at their behalf. When her parents had gone to a neighbor and began to fill her grave, just in case she will wake up if she was ever alive, so before she suffocated. The neighbor has said his remorse as and walked in his home. Not soon after Mary had awoken from her slumber, she pulled a string, and a string and ball that wouldn't be heard from her parents, but who were out with the neighbors and too far away. She pulled the string, and the string and until the bell did not st- did the stick. Now she began clawing and scratching, and at her wooden prison until her fingers bled, and then she cut, scratching till she breathed her last breath. Now, when her parents arrived home, the father soon recognized a bell 100 yards away, and originally was, and soon called his wife to help him dig up their daughter. Now, when dug up, they unlatched the coffin. They found Mary in a petrified state. Her friends, um, like claws, covered a blood gain with all the white dress that she was buried in. They put a mirror under her nose to see if she was breathing. Her breath would show. Condensation was on the mirror, but even so, she was dead. Her spirit is said to have been attached to the mirror, and now, whenever someone calls Bloody Mary 3 times, she would come and claws at the unknowing victim. This is said. This is just one sad story about her demise. There are plenty that might not even be fact beyond a year, but still, it's gory. It's a gory story that can still that you can still tell kids, and you still have your heartbeat every night one time you say her name. Now, it is Bloody Mary is a legend, a ghost, and a phantom that is conjured to reveal the future. She is said to have appeared in a mirror when her name is chanted repeatedly. The apparition might be benign or benevolent, depending on the historic variations of the legend. And there are many appearances that mostly witnesses and participation play that you can find. So, what about the phenomena explanations? Well, staring into a mirror in a dimly room is a prolonged period that can cause one to hallucinate. Facial features can appear to quote melt, distort, and disapprove and rotate, while other hallucinatory elements such as animals or strange faces may appear. Giovanni Capoto of the University of Urbino writes that in this phenomenon, when he calls the strong-faced illusion, is believed to be a consequence of a disassociated identity effect, and which would cause the brain's facial recognition system to misfire in currently unidentified way. Other possible explanations of this phenomenon include illusions attributed, at least partially, and the perceptual effects of Troxler's fading, and it's possibly apopina, or even hypnosis. Now, what about the identification? There is some debate on this identification if Bloody Mary is based on a real woman. Can we name that woman? If you know your history, do you know who I'm talking about? I'm talking about Mary the First. of England, and she was the daughter of Henry VIII and Catherine Aragon, which I could do. I'm going to do a whole episode based on that person later on down the road, because one, she was a paragon, to quote Six, the musical. But yeah, Mary the First was not meant to become queen. And it was around and this at this time, her mom was a Catholic. She was raised a Catholic. But it was around 300 religious Protestant dissenters that burned at the stake during her reign, earning her the nickname Bloody Mary. Elizabeth Bathory was a 17th century Hungarian countess who allegedly tortured and killed around 600 girls and women, bathed in their blood, and was accused of vampirism. I will be talking about that on my Dark Academia Queen podcast. You can go check that out eventually when I do get it out. But it is in Mary Worth, who has been said to be identified as a woman who killed slaves during her slaves escaping the American South via the Underground Railroad, or a woman who was burned at the stake during the witch trials in the early modern period. Now, what do we think? Do we think this urban legend and myth does exist? Um, I personally don't know. I'm not gonna try it. But I do love this kind of stuff. But yeah, there's many legends that revolve around this. I'll try to find the Ghost Whisperer episode, and link it below. If I can't, you can Google it and everything. But I do recommend going to watch Ghost Whisperer this episode particularly. But like the Bloody Mary legend, like I was been going back and forth like, what do I want my first episode to be for Down the Rabbit Hole? I've already have so many other podcasts, so I'm like, I gotta think of something really good. And why not? I just got done talking about Ghost and everything else, so I had to talk about this one. But yeah, but think about it though. Could you do it? Would you do it? I'm not going to advise you to do anything. That's your own free will, but no, I can't do it. Like, thing is, I'm not like, I believe in ghosts. I do. But I'm also not like super superstitious at the same time, but I'm not going to be dumb enough to go try it at the same time. There have been many accounts of people who have tried this. That's the thing. But yeah, all right. That's it for today's episode. If you're new here, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Help a girl out, and everything. But I will see y'all next time as we talk about our next down the rabbit hole topic.